Brian Keeler here. Welcome to the North Star Art Gallery in Ithaca, New York. I'm in the final stages of a painting that I actually started 20, maybe 25 years ago on Great Spruce Head Island. It's an island off the coast of Maine, and this show is called All About Maine. It's Acadia National Park and New England, and Great Spruce Head Island is an island that's owned by the Porter family. It's been in their family for many years, and I was invited out there a number of times by friends of mine, Nancy and Marvin Baker, and I went there several times to do these plein air paintings. This is 24 by 36 oil, and done right there on location, but I felt that it needed some final work, and I'm just punching up the light, as it's said here, of it was a little too orange and too high chroma, so I'm just making it more blonde and making more of a quality of light, bringing out the light. The painting is called Light on the Path, so I wanted to accentuate that quality of light. A couple of famous painters, members of the Porter family, Fairfield Porter. If you haven't heard of him, you should look him up. He's a wonderful painter, and his brother, the photographer, Elliot Porter, were the sons of the family that lived there. We have several of Great Spruce Head Island in this show. I'm going to set my brushes down. We're going to do a sort of a short, abbreviated overview of the exhibit. This painting that you're looking at here now is a nocturne, a night scene of a restaurant in Stonington, Maine, on Main Street. It's a wonderful 19th century building, and to me, except for the car, it has kind of a timeless quality. It could be in 1930 or 1980 or today. So I like that quality of sort of timelessness, and the invitation to look into a warm interior. I met a gentleman in there that did a novel on this, inspired by this restaurant, and the painting has a certain nod to Edward Hopper and his nocturnes, like Nighthawk and many other ones. And he was also an artist who painted in Maine a lot. So that tradition of American painters doing these scenes of Maine. Okay, if you turn to the left here, this painting that you're looking at now is of Acadia National Park. One of the main themes of this exhibit is of a town called Korea at low tide. You notice that the water's out, and part of my attraction was this light coming in through filtering through the evergreen trees. I guess they're pine trees in the back there. And but the title of the painting is Conversation on the Dock, a scene of these lobstermen discussing the day at the end of the day. Okay, and then to the left of that one is a painting of Stonington, Maine, that I did plein air, and late in the afternoon, just the final half hour of sunlight, golden hour as it's called. And then I finished up in the studio. If you go in and look at these tops of the pylons, they're all covered with the canisters of sheetrock, and they put them there to cover the wood to keep it from rotting. And all of them, or many of them, have those plastic sheetrock cans on top. Okay, over here we have a painting of Gloucester, Mass. It's called Low Tide Heave. It's a 26 by 30 oil. And if you go in close, you'll get to see, it was quite an involved painting, a lot of drawing and perspective issues and compositional things, but once again, it's this late afternoon light, this warm light of a late summer day. Kids involved in just an everyday quotidian activity of pushing this boat out of the muck and mire of a harbor. Okay, I'll do one other from that same series here, this other painting of Gloucester, Massachusetts, on a beach there on Labor Day weekend. I would stop in Gloucester on several successive years after going to a dance camp in New Hampshire and go there for a weekend of painting. Okay, if you'll follow me over here, I'll do this wall here quickly and just do some of the highlights here, kind of an abbreviated tour. This one you're looking at now is a plein air painting of Stonington, Maine. There's a YouTube clip of me actually painting there, which I encourage you to look at. And now we're looking at the large studio version of the same painting. And this one too, I have a YouTube clip of me finishing up. So check out my YouTube site and you can get insights into the painting process. Those clips are kind of designed for painters because I'm explaining about the process of painting and my considerations there. Okay. Now we're looking at this other view of Stonington. There's several paintings of Stonington in this exhibit. This one is on top of the hill. I think it's right next to a church, and I painted here several times. This gentleman with his golden retrievers came up and talked with me while I was painting, and then I photographed him as he was walking away. And this wonderful harbor scene with this great August morning light. The town kind of reminds me of my hometown, Wyalusing, with these wonderful old houses, 19th century houses, but of course along the sea coast. Okay, if you follow me back here. We're going to look at a couple of Acadia National Park. Well, that's what the top one is there. It's of Schoodic Point, and Acadia National Park is kind of north of Bar Harbor. And this is a plein air painting that you're looking at. This day, it was this wonderful dramatic sky that came in, and I did it right there on location. Of course, finished it up in the studio. And the one below it is of a harbor scene not far from Stonington. Maybe you can go in and look. It's the quality of the light, the late afternoon light, that kind of attracts me to any given scene. I mean, not necessarily late afternoon, but light in general. And now to your left, this top one is a evening view of Port Clyde in Maine, and it's a wonderful town. It's became famous through the Wyeths. Andrew Wyeth did a lot of watercolors and paintings of this town, and they're in the Farnsworth Museum in Rockport, Maine. And we'll do one more here first. This is kind of the feature painting of the exhibit. It's a painting of Monhegan, Maine. Maybe if you go in close, but before you do, the clouds are invented, and they have great fun and enjoyment with painting and orchestrating clouds to create the sense of depth and their wonderful patterns and layers. But the idea is to get them to supplement and augment and complement the perspective of going back into space. Maybe if you go in on these lobstermen here, there's an interesting anecdote about this painting. I posted it on Facebook, and one of my Facebook friends recognized the one lobsterman and told him about it. And His name, I think, was Matt Weber. So it's one of those interesting connections of social media and how things can connect us in a very positive way. Okay, if you follow me around here, we'll do a couple more and complete this tour. Look at this one right here of also of Stonington, and there's also a YouTube clip of me doing a plein air on location, so check that out. And we have one portrait in the show of a salt of the earth kind of guy. I call it Stonington Bill. He's standing next to his Austin British car, a rusted old relic that I guess he's in the process of working on. And it's right in Stonington. And above it is a plein air of Acadia National Park. A place called Devil's Point or Devil's Hole, because of the water that comes in there and comes surging out. Makes for wonderful dramatic effects. Okay, we'll finish it up here with this painting of also of Acadia National Park of Otter Point. I've done at least 2 paintings there. The other one was sold. This is also a plein air painting and done right there on location in Maine. Okay, so that's the abbreviated tour. I encourage you to come in so you can look at each painting. We have a lot of small plein air paintings and some large studio paintings as you've seen, and they're all available online on the website northstarartgallery.com, and you can see many of them there. But it's always best to come in and look at them in person and see them here. And we're just outside of Ithaca on Snyder Hill Road. This exhibit remains up for the month of September. So I hope to see you here sometime. Thanks so much.